BBC Radio 2 presents the golden age of British dance.
Good evening, everybody. This is Lew Stone and his band from London.
That announcement was always eagerly awaited by a host of fans of the BBC's late-night dance music programmes in the 1930s, because Tuesday night at 10:30 with Lew Stone was as important as 10:30 Saturday night with Ambrose, and for a great many, more important. For the quality of music that the Lew Stone Band played at the Monseigneur restaurant had the critics, the patrons, and the listening public falling over themselves to find the right superlatives to praise the individual members of the orchestra and their collective musicianship. And rightly so. It was a band of many talents, superbly blended together by an arranger of enormous ability, Lew Stone. Every man in that band had his fans among the dancing Debs and the society set. Joe Crossman, Nat Gonella, Lou Davis, Tiny Winters, Bill Harty, and the heartthrob singer Al Bowley, who on the first broadcast that the band under Lew Stone's name made in October 1932, sang this song as the opening number.
Rain, rain, go away, come again some other day, let the moon come out and play tonight. Rain, rain, run away, though you took the sun away, don't you take my fun away tonight. If you were I, you'd want a sweet romance. If I were you, I'd give a guy a chance. Now rain, rain, go away, on a sunbeam stow away, make a lover's holiday tonight.
Lew Stone never really wanted to lead a band. For years, he'd been perfectly happy just writing arrangements. For Ambrose in the late 20s, subsequently for Roy Fox, whom he joined in 1931 at the Monseigneur as pianist and arranger. When Roy Fox became ill and went to Switzerland to convalesce, Lew directed the orchestra until Roy's return in the spring of 1932. However, in the autumn, it was announced that Fox would be leaving the Monseigneur, and as Joyce, Mrs. Lew Stone, recalls, it was then
when Jack Upson, who's the owner, sent for Lew to his office and said, "Look, Lew, I want you to form a band." Lew said, "No, I don't want to be a band leader, not in the least bit interested." And Jack Upson said to Lew, "Walk round the block 3 times, come back and say yes." And Lew walked round the block 3 times, and he went back and said yes on 2 conditions. One is that I can call it Lew Stone and the Monseigneur Band, and 2, that I can have 2 extra musicians, which happened to be Joe Crossman and Lou Davis, and they both agreed to come. So that's how Lew started, under his name at the Monseigneur.
And immediately he put his personal stamp on everything that was performed.
I'll never be the same, the stars have lost their meaning to me. I'll never be the same, nothing's what it once used to be. And when the songbirds that sing tell me it's spring, I can't believe their song. Once love was king, but kings can be wrong. I'll never be the same, there is such an ache in my heart. Never be the same since we're apart. Though there's a lot that a smile can hide, goes on deep inside, I'll never be the same, never be the same again.
I think that was the greatest adventure of my career, to go with Lew Stone.
Joe Crossman, one of the 2 extra players Lew Stone brought into the band and who was to lead the saxophone section for many years. Why was it such an adventure?
Well, it was a different kind of band. It was a band of wonderful chaps who cooperated in everything we did, whether it was music, the show, or even sport. Now, of course, Lew had the distinction of being one of the few, I think the only band leader at the time, who could arrange his own music. And we all took part in putting together, for instance, a stage number. And we'd work out all sorts of ideas. And that's how we got a polished stage performance with Lew. Of course, it was a band of personalities.
And one of those personalities was jazz trumpeter and hot singer Nat Gonella.
Hot ginger and dynamite, there's nothing but that at night. The way they entertain with hurry a hurricane. A Fujiyama, you get a mama, and then your troubles increase. They kissy and huggy nice, by jingo it's worth the price. Carriage free, the horses are Japanese. They sit you on the floor and sprint to you galore. Oh, sweet kimono, I tried to phone her, I found the number engaged. You just have to act your age or wind up inside a cage. When the girl's jiu-jitsu seems like a bus hit you, back in Nagasaki where the fella shoot the back in and boom wiggy waggy zigzags and zone.
Nagasaki and Nat Gonella.
It was like being at school, I think, in the nicest way. And you were learning all the time, you know. Even when the band was playing on the dance, and say somebody was outside doing a solo, or Lew was doing a bit of piano, and we would have the music, and we'd be drawing things on there, you know, writing on the music. Most of the music, if you look on the back page, you see it was all about golf. This is what I did this afternoon when I went down here in 3 and down there, etc., which was very funny. But it was like a holiday, really. We had two rehearsals a week, which we wanted to do, enjoyed doing them. And everybody had their own suggestions, and they were tried. Not only listened to, but they were tried. And if it was no good, it was chucked out. If it was good, it was helped on. And that's what made it such a great band, I think. Individually they were good, but collectively it was just like a manufacturing place. We were all trying to make something, and we would all help.
And help in unconventional ways. First alto Joe Crossman, as vocalist, for instance.
Lazybones, sleeping in the old sun. Well, how you expect to get your day's work done? Why, you never get your day's work done. Sleeping in the noonday sun. Oh, lazybones, sleeping in the shade. Boy, how you expect to get your cornmeal made? Why, you never get your cornmeal made. Sleeping in the evening shade. Yes, men, when potatoes need spraying, I bet you keep praying that them bugs fall off your vine. Yeah, and when you go fishing, I bet you keep wishing the fish won't grab at your line. Oh, there boy, lazybones, loafing through the day. How you expect to make a dime that way? Why, you never make a dime that way. Well, looky here. You never hear the word I say.
Hardly be an innovation today, but back in the 30s, Lew Stone's use of different members of the orchestra to perform specialized songs came in for some criticism, especially as he had the #1 singer of those times in the band, Al Bowley. It was a point that I discussed with Joyce Stone and Geoff Milne, who is responsible for the reissue of many Lew Stone recordings.
This, yes, was peculiar to Lew. He made each member an individual. He wondered sometimes whether this was just a good idea, because when they became that well known, of course they left and started on their own, as indeed did Nat Gonella. And Al left and went to the States. But no, Lew felt that if a certain type of number required a certain type of voice, there was no earthly reason why it should be given to Al.
Lew used singers rather as he would a musician in the band. They had to be part of the orchestration, as it were, and not just a vocalist who stood out in front singing a vocal chorus.
And this, I might add, somewhat annoyed the chairman of Decca when Nat Gonella sang Le Capri, I think. And I've got the original letter to Lew saying, "You're wasting good Decca money on this record." In actual fact, it was a bestseller.
And Tiny Winters.
Tiny Winters, yes. Again, I've got letters at home addressed to Miss Winters.
Oh, that I can believe.
Well, that voice is ridiculous.
Well, I hate myself because it's probably the best example of that, isn't it, Joyce?
Oh, I hate myself for being so mean to you. I just hate myself for being so mean to you. Oh, like an eeny, miny, mo. I broke your heart and I let you go. Oh, I hate myself for being so mean to you. I could bite my tongue saying the things I said. I could slap my face for saying the things I've said. Oh, gonna send myself a telegram and tell myself what a fool I am. Oh, I hate myself for saying the things I've said. Oh, baby, do come back. If you come back, I'll never make you cry. Stay away another day and I'll kiss myself goodbye. Can I hide myself down in the deep, deep blue? 'Cause I hate myself for being mean to you.
But you see, Tiny still has that high-pitched voice even now, and he's in his 60s.
Yes.
When Lew asked me to sing, I nearly fell through the floor. But the point was that, it never struck me that my voice was going to go out sounding like a girl's, you see. It does, there's no doubt about that. I guess it gets high-pitched and that. In my fan mail, I got a tin box with some pink ribbon in it. someone taking the mickey, I think.
Right.
And it still goes on now. Well, if I ring up a store, the assistant automatically says, yes, miss, or something like that.
And without doubt, Miss Winters had her greatest moment of triumph in the band's never-to-be-forgotten melodrama, Little Nell.
Little Nell, yeah, that kept on cropping up. Little Nell. I think people still remember it, you know.
It was a dark and stormy night when me Nellie went away, and I'll never forgive her till my dying day. She was just 16 and the village queen, the prettiest little trick that the valley had ever seen. The farm ain't the same since me Nellie went away. The rooster died and the hen won't lay. So in this winter I'll put a light on the old zero. Gosh, what a night! Who's there knocking at me door?
It's your little Nell, don't you know me anymore?
What happened to that actor guy that used to call you honey? Did he send you home when you hadn't any money?
He was a West End guy, and he could die with ease, and he had more money than the dog has fleas. He left me on the night when I was most forlorn. The very, very night little Dumbbell was born.
Is that there, dummy?
Well, it ain't no other.
Is the very spitting image of his darn mother. But you can't live in this house with that there child.
Father dear, you drive me wild. But I'll get that guy who calls me all the shame. That mean he wouldn't even give his child a middle nut.
Hoity, my proud beauty.
Now, if you interfere, you're just as good as dead. 'Cause I'll get me old shotgun and I'll pump you full of lead.
But I can do you heaps of harm, 'cause I own the mortgage on your goddamn farm.
He saw us where he was to spot the dirty rotter.
Give me back my dummy.
Your dummy.
My dummy.
Your dummy.
My dummy.
Who's there coming? It sounds like a mule.
I hate no mule, you gosh darn fool. Can't you see by my badge I'm the constable? What's it all about? Come on now and tell.
Well, he ain't done right by me little Nell.
Yes, I have.
You have not.
Yes, I have.
You have not.
What did he do? What did he do? What's this harm that he sprung on you?
Well, he's wrecked my farm and he's ruined me daughter.
Well, I reckon we ought to fine him about $1.25.
Which all goes to show the price of sin. Tomorrow night we will play East Lynn.
Little Nell with a cast of thousands, well, Tiny Winters, Al Bowley, Jim Easton, and Nat Gonella as the constable. If that is still remembered, and I'm sure it is, as one of Lew Stone's biggest hits, here's something that's not known at all because it's still an unissued recording. A song called It's Psychological, made in March 1932, but not released then because the words were considered too daring for the time. Al Bowley sings it, and the pianist is Monseigneur.
So when you find a gal, the perfect kind of gal, and your feelings grow distinctly biological, you think you're hot for, but you're not for, it's psychological. What a kick you get, and oh how quick you get, in your fingers the desire to be massagical. When you define that, it's just a sign that you're psychological. Love is a question of mental suggestion, strictly cerebral you'll find. Sex is a theory, consider it dearie, merely a matter of mind. When I envelop you, just to help you, study out the thing in manner pedagogical. For goodness sakes, dear, give me the breaks, dear, be psychological.
chronological. A few months after making that, Al Bowley had departed the band along with drummer Bill Harty. They were off to America with Ray Noble. And Monolita's place at the piano had been taken by Stanley Black, who had earlier already contributed to the band's library.
Well, yes, I did all the Casaloma transcriptions for Lew. White jazz, black jazz, blue jazz, I think every colour in the spectrum jazz. But it was the sort of arrangements that suited Lew's band then, this sort of very tightly knit rhythm section. This too, I suppose, added to the almost the trademark of Lew's sound. He didn't chop and change so far as arrangers were concerned. He always used the same 4 or 5 arrangers. And Lew's arrangements really marked a completely new departure in dance band arranging. He was an innovator in the way he wrote block chords for the entire orchestra. This was completely new in those days. And I must confess that I learned an awful lot about arranging from Lew.
Stanley Black's adaptation of the Casaloma arrangement. The Lew Stone Band had homes other than the Monseigneur. For a while, they moved over to the Café Anglais, and up until 1936, they toured the country in between their London bookings. As Joe Crossman remarked to us,
You know, we did so much work with Lew, and when I think back on it, I don't know how we didn't get tired sooner. Because we used to do things like doubling theatres. We once went to Croydon, the Davis Theatre Croydon, and we doubled with Astoria, Brixton. We'd do 2 shows in Davis, 1 at Astoria, go back and do 1 at Davis. and the last two there. And then go back to Monseigneur, where Montavani was holding the fort for us, you see. We'd be shown immediately to our supper room. We'd have a marvelous menu there, and then we'd start about 12:30 or 1 o'clock and finish the dance music. It was a wonderful life. And we used to do recording too in the morning, as well as these 6 shows a day. And believe it or not, between shows we were either rehearsing or else we'd go and play a game of tennis. We had lots of fun and hard work, but we loved it.
And what of Nat Gonella's memories of those years?
You know, going to work was such a pleasure that you couldn't leave it. Sometimes I felt rather abashed and shy about the money that Lew had to pay me eventually, because he was paying me over £40 before we stopped at the Monseigneur, which was a terrible lot of money in those days. And after I was only second trumpet, it was only the jazz man.
And the jazz man was about to depart. In early 1935, Nat Gonella left to start his Georgians, and the band moved into the Hollywood restaurant in Piccadilly. Meanwhile, in late 1934, Lew Stone had switched his recording company. Although it was a contract that only lasted a year, it produced a healthy crop of records, and certainly no difference in the high standard of the band's performances. They even produced a little novelty that gave this old firm an oblique plug. Lew Stone himself leading the way in I'll Be Seeing You.
Places where blasé waiters take all that you've got, and we'll go on to a place where it is no disgrace to go hotcha to music that's hot. There'll be celebrities meeting their public and missing girls who are sought in the news, and lots of Wilbys and ain'ts, many sinners and saints, and a man all alone with the blues. And when we've seen all this make-believe heaven, we'll pay our bill as we stifle a yawn, 'cause the band's uninspired and the waiters are tired, and we'll wend our way home with the dawn.
Be Seeing You, which brings us back to the many broadcasts of the band and a few reminiscences. Stanley Black.
Lew wasn't the most delicate of people physically. In fact, he was inclined to be a little clumsy. And we were quite used to the situation where he'd sort of turn round from the band at the end of a number, announce the next tune, and then turn round and bang his head on the microphone, or sort of waltz through to the control room and take 5 music stands with him on his braces. This was quite the normal thing to happen, but one expected it from Lew.
talking about Lew's clumsiness, all the band musicians in the Monseigneur had a nickname. But Lew was known as Joe Clumsy.
Yeah.
Al Burley was Joe Sex. Ernest Ritty, who was a vegetarian,
Joe Cabbage.
Joe Carrot or Joe Cabbage. Lew Davis could always fix everything. He was always doing little engineering jobs. Was Joe Fix? What were you?
Yeah, I don't know. They
all had these nicknames.
And their problems, the broadcasts of those years being live.
The broadcasts in those days were marathons, really. I think they went on for something like an hour and a half. And however meticulously one timed these things, there was always a state of near panic towards the end when one found one had 5 numbers on the stand and only time to do 3. And Lew evolved the idea of a blackboard on which, with 10 minutes to go, he would write down the names of the next 3 numbers, very often skipping a couple in the process. And one night, I don't know what happened, but he sort of half rubbed out one title and left it half on. Half the band started Meilenberg Joys and half the band started something else. And there was a long, dark tunnel for about 10 bars.
In spite of which, the band's broadcasts were always a special listening date. And in 1938, listeners had a bonus. Al Burley returned. And looking back, there was an intangible quality of special nostalgia that the songs had just before the war.
Think of her, music, maestro, please. Tonight I must forget how much I need her. So, Mr. Leader, play your lilting melodies, ragtime, jazz time, swing, any old thing to help me ease the pain that solitude can bring. She used to like waltzes, so please don't play a waltz. She danced divinely, and I loved her so, but there I go tonight. I mustn't think of her, no more memories. Swing off tonight, I must forget. Music, maestro, please.
The very first time I heard of Lew Stone was on that record.
Kenneth Trodd, whose long and detailed research of Lew Stone's music is capsuled in his book, A Career in Music. I asked him to summarize Lew's career as he sees it.
I think my strongest feeling about Lew Stone was one which applied equally when he was a legend on a record label as to when I knew him as a friend in his later years, and that was of the extraordinary incongruity of such a man in such a world. There he was, shy, introspective, and by show business standards not even particularly social, riding high in a job where surely what you needed to be was brash, extrovert, and very go-getting. Well, Lew was none of those things. And there were times when he seemed almost of a different species from colleagues who were mostly jollier, louder, and more elegant than he was. He never gambled or made close friends with royalty. He had about him a kind of cheerful melancholy, an air of self-deprecation, as if being Lew Stone was some kind of a joke, but never an uproarious one. It seems to me that these qualities are everywhere reflected in his music. Only Lew could have turned Tiny Winters into a vocalist, and only Lew Stone, having Al Bowley as his vocalist, could have insisted on letting Nat Gonella sing the Isle of Capri, and turn the record into a bestseller. There wasn't very much traditional jazz based on a trombone trio being played in 1940, but the Stonecrackers recordings are there to prove just how good an odd idea could be.
Street Blues, the Stonecrackers, and another as yet unissued recording. In talking about Lew Stone and the somewhat unique position the orchestra had in the golden age of British dance music, I found that we always returned to his eminence as an arranger. I asked Nat Gonella to assess his quality as an arranger.
You use the word assess. He could assess all the feeling in the band. He could assess what you feel. He could anyway try you out on something, and if it wasn't any good, he might encourage you to do it a bit better, or he might just ease you out of the way a bit, you know. And I think Lew was marvellous in getting, at that period when we had the hour and a half every week, Lew was fantastic at getting the novelties and the jazz and the sweet music, and all kinds of music, all in the hour and a half.
By the way, Lew had a cat. which he brought with him when he was married. It was called Thomas. And Thomas always wanted to be in the study when Lew was orchestrating. And he would sit on the piano, and Lew had to orchestrate in pencil, because at a vital moment, Tommy's paw would come over the stand and smudge the music. And at times, Lew would get really exasperated and say, oh, for heaven's sake, take Tommy out of the room. I can't get on with my work. But they would have terrific games together. But Tommy's paw marks are on quite a lot of the old orchestrations. He loved arranging right till the very end, even when he was playing with his sextet as late as 1967.
He was much happier being an arranger than a band leader. He said to me once, who wants to see a silly little man like me standing in front of a band waving a stick? He wanted to be a backroom boy, where the work is really done.
Glamour, crowds at the stage door meant nothing to Lew at all.
Nothing whatsoever. He was a worker. He really was a worker rather than a figurehead.
Roaring traffic, the tramping of feet, lilting laughter from crowds in the street. That's my kind of music. I want to go to town. Phone bells ringing, a pneumatic drill, swing door swinging, loose change in the till. That's my kind of music. I want to go to town. Two lovers doing a spot of wooing inside a taxi creeping round the park. The elevators, the escalators, the roar of rush hour trains, and mind the doors pass down the car place. Give me rhythm, the best in the land. Let me hear that Palladium band. That's my kind of music. The top of the world is London town. I want to go to town.
Recalling Lew Stone and his kind of music, my thanks to Joe Crossman, Nat Gonella, Tiny Winters and Stanley Black, the members of the orchestra, to Geoff Milne and Ken Trodd, and for her memories, my special thanks to Joyce Stone.
The Golden Age of British Dance Bands is compiled and introduced by Alan Dell, and the programme was produced by John Knight.